ברוכים הבאים לפודקאסט של שפות-שלי, בית ספר לאנגלית ושפות נוספות. אני אריאל כרגיל, היום יש לנו פרק מרתק. קודם כל בוא נפרט קצת מה שפות נוספות שאנחנו מציגים. אני מציג את זה כל פעם בתחילת הפודקאסט שאנחנו בית ספר לאנגלית ושפות נוספות, אבל איזה עוד שפות אנחנו מלמדים? אנחנו בעצם מלמדים כאן גם ספרדית, איטלקית, צרפתית, רוסית, ערבית, גרמנית, וכמובן עברית לעולים חדשים. תמיד מוזמנים ליצור איתנו קשר לפרטים נוספים לגבי כל המסלולים שלנו. אוקיי, אז היום אנחנו נדבר על נושא שמשפיע על הרבה ישראלים בארץ, שזה החרדה לדבר אנגלית, anxiety to speak English. אנחנו נדבר מה זה נובע, וגם על כמה פתרונות שאנחנו מציעים, גם להתמודד עם החרדה, to deal with anxiety, but to speak English, but also with להתמודד עם anxiety, generally it can also help, obviously. כחלק מתהליך הוראה, כמובן, העבודה שלנו היא 99% מול אנשים, ולכן אנחנו כמובן צריכים לדעת להבין את הצרכים, את החששות, את הפחדים של התלמידים שלנו, ולדעת איך להתגבר על זה, ולתת להם את הכלים הכי נכונים לעולם האמיתי, וכמובן גם לעולם העסקי. אז בואו נדבר קצת. firstly, אני הולך לערבב גם אנגלית ועברית, שיהיה כזה גם מובן למי שלא יבין את כל הפודקאסט. כי הפודקאסט הזה, the purpose of the podcast is to listen mostly in English. להאמין את האוזן לשמוע באנגלית. אז בואו נתחיל. Anxiety is something that affects all of us. כולנו, at some stage in our lives, we all get affected by some kind of level of anxiety, whether it be in our personal lives or in our business lives. So let's understand first what anxiety stems from and what is the feeling, how it impacts us, and how it affects our ability when we're learning or we want to speak English. So anxiety is something that stems from an area in the brain called the amygdala. זה מגיע מחלק במוח שקוראים לו amygdala. And this is basically a reaction, sort of a panic, a fight or flight reaction. It means זה בעצם גורם לנו להרגיש של מצב של או להילחם או לברוח. קוראים לזה באנגלית fight or flight, סוג של פאניקה מאוד מאוד עמוקה. It's a deep state of panic, and normally what happens is that we tense up. Our muscles tense up, we get dizzy, we feel like vomiting, maybe sweating, heart racing, maybe we choke up. Many people take it, have different symptoms and feel it in a different way, but I don't think there's a single human being who hasn't been anxious in a certain period of our lives. Now, the amygdala, it's an area of the brain that has, let's say, it doesn't deal with thinking. Okay, this is not the thinking part of the brain. The amygdala has to make a decision because it cannot decipher really if you're afraid or, let's say, smell smoke. It cannot decipher if it's burnt toast or a fire. הוא לא ידע להגיד את ההבדל. המגדלה just sends off a siren that you are in danger and induces a huge panic attack. So what happens is that in that particular situation, not necessarily do you have to be in a situation which is dangerous for you. It's enough for your amygdala to send off that siren, and you are going to be in a situation where you cannot really decipher whether it's the toast that is burnt or it's a real fire that is happening at that moment. And therefore, you have an immediate reaction of a fight or flight reaction to deal with the situation. Now, it can be something random. People, unfortunately, get this in situations which have nothing to do with danger or the situation itself. They just happen to be anxious and suffer from this debilitating condition of anxiety, which affects everybody, but some people worse than others. So what we do when we want to speak English, we want to learn English, or we want to learn to speak English, but we suffer from a state of anxiety. יש לנו פחד להיחשף, פחד לדבר. We are afraid to make a fool out of ourselves when we speak English at work, or if we say that we're learning English, or that people feel ashamed if they make a mistake. So most important thing to understand is that in the world, there are over 850 million English speakers. Out of those people, we're talking about something like 350 are native English speakers. That means more than half are non-native English speakers. That means they have some degrees of, they speak English well, but they're non-native. That means that for sure they have certain mistakes in their language or when they speak the language, but they still go out there and speak. Now, how do we combat a situation where you have anxiety? איך אנחנו נלחמים בחרדה הזאת, שהיא גם לא רק חייבת להיות קשורה לדיבור באנגלית, יכולה להיות קשורה לכל מצב בחיים. How can we deal with it? So there are a couple tips that you can do physically to reduce, to immediately feel better. When you feel a sense of anxiousness, when you feel anxious, immediately your muscles tense up, okay? Because you're taking in less oxygen into your body. And it's a scientific fact that when you feel anxious, your limbs, your body takes in less oxygen and you tense up. You may begin to sweat, you feel the heart racing, and immediately we're breathing at a less regular pace. So when that happens, first thing is take deep breaths. Take very long, deep breaths. When you take a deep breath, it's going to bring oxygen back into your body and it's going to relax your mind to a certain degree. Okay. And the other thing is to practice something שכבר כולכם יודעים עליו. So this is called mindfulness. To be in the situation, break down the situation for now. What's happening now? Live second by second. Don't think what's going to be happening כשאני אצטרך לדבר באנגלית. Don't think about מה יקרה כשאני אלמד אנגלית. אל תחשבו שום דבר חוץ ממה שקורה באותו שנייה, באותו רגע. Concentrate on the second by second, break it down. So those are two things you can do to break down in the situation if you feel anxious. Particularly if you feel anxious regarding speaking English, but it works for any technique. One is take a deep breath to make sure that your body gets the right enough oxygen, so that your limbs and you don't feel as tense. Number two is obviously think that you're in the moment. Concentrate about being in the moment. תחשבו על עכשיו, תפרקו את זה ממש לשנייה אחרי שנייה מה קורה. ותהיו 100% בפוקוס הזה. קוראים לזה לחיות את הרגע. Be mindful of what's going on around you. Be mindful about what you're doing in that particular moment. And don't think what's going to happen in the next minute, 2 minutes, or in the next couple of seconds. So what do we do as well, besides obviously helping you practice a couple of these techniques and implement them, which is deep breathing and mindfulness? We also, the majority of people who don't have an anxious, let's say, don't suffer from anxiety in general, but who suffer particular English-speaking anxiety, generally that can be solved with knowledge, ידע. ברגע שאתם, כמובן שהרבה פעמים החרדה הזאת יכולה להיות גם מוצדקת, כי באמת יש לכם אולי חורים בבסיס, you guys don't understand everything, you're lacking a lot of vocabulary, חסר לכם הרבה אוצר מילים, so you find it difficult to speak. In that particular case, maybe it's even מוצדק, okay? Maybe your anxiety is reasonable, maybe you feel that okay, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to get speaking, and it's not going to look good. So the way to solve that is obviously to get the right knowledge, to understand the language systematically and methodically, באופן ממש שיטתי, כי ברגע שאתה בן אדם מוגר, אתה חייב להבין את השפה באופן שיטתי. So we'll break it down into basically building you up step by step, building up your knowledge, building up your confidence speaking. We have a very specific and unique teaching method where we combine also Hebrew, אנחנו משווים את השפה העברית, so it's native to you, or let's say native tongue to your mother language, so that you can think in your mother language, but still be able to speak English in a way that's, let's say, fluent, in a way that's proficient, and not really have to change your thinking into English, okay? Still have the ability to think in Hebrew, but be able to speak in English, okay? Because your thoughts will never change. They will be in Hebrew if you live in Israel. You're not going to start thinking in English. So that's an important tool to help you to build confidence in the speaking. Obviously, the more knowledge you have and the better of understanding you have of any certain subject, this is very important. But unfortunately, there's many people who speak English extremely well. וגם מבינים אנגלית טוב, אבל עדיין they have the anxiety to speak the language because it's foreign to them and they feel deep down that they're not good enough to do it. Okay, they still feel the need to show improvement. So one is, okay, it's okay. Keep improving, keep working on it. But secondly, definitely begin to implement techniques. Begin to expose yourself gradually to more and more speaking English, and also to basically practice deep breathing and mindfulness on a daily basis. Whenever you feel that you have any sort of anxious coming on, just begin, or anxiety, or it's anxiety coming on, begin to practice these techniques into your life. Now, I spoke quite a bit about mindfulness, but what is mindfulness exactly? Because you guys might be thinking at home right now, driving your car on the way to work, thinking, well, what the hell is mindfulness? So let's break it down. Mindfulness is a mental state characterized by focused and non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. It involves intentionally paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations and surroundings, without getting caught up in them or reacting to them. זה בעצם לשים לב על כל הרגשות שאתה מרגיש, כל מה שאתה רואה סביבך, אבל בלי להגיב אליהם. Mindfulness is often associated with meditation practices, but can also be practiced informally throughout the day, by simply being present and fully engaged in what you're doing, להיות 100% באותו רגע. אנחנו גם מנסים לעשות את זה באמת, גם במהלך הלימודים אצלנו, to fully engage you in such a way that you're almost like in a deep state of hypnosis. Honestly, people that learn with us, let's say do an hour lesson, they say that feels like 5 or 10 minutes. It's like really a deep state of meditation because you're so engaged. מה שקורה באותו רגע, that we break it down second by second, שאתה בתוך התהליך ממש עמוק. So this is really one strong way to beat anxiety. The practice of mindfulness has been shown to have numerous benefits for mental and physical health, including reducing stress, anxiety, and depression, improving emotional regulation, increasing self-awareness and self-acceptance, and enhancing cognitive function. There are many different techniques and approaches to practice mindfulness, including formal meditation practices such as breath awareness or body scan meditations, and informal practices such as mindful eating or walking. With regular practice, mindfulness can become a way of life, helping you cultivate a greater sense of calm and clarity and a connection to the present moment. להיות מחובר לרגע, לעכשיו, לשנייה הזאתי, ומה שאני עושה בחיים ממש עכשיו, ורק להיות מחובר לזה כאמת, זה הדבר היחיד שחשוב. אף אחד לא יכול לדעת מה יהיה מחר, מחרתיים, what's coming. And the future, the past is the past, מה שהיה, אז בעצם מה שחשוב זה מה שקורה עכשיו בכל שנייה. אבל אנחנו כך עסוקים עם מחשבות, דאגות, רגעים, איך יהיה, מה יהיה, what will happen, מה יחשבו, לא יחשבו, how my life will work out, won't work out. We have too many that we don't enjoy the actual moment, and then we miss the current moment. Then life becomes just a collection of concerns, worries, and that feeds on anxiety, and that basically feeds on your mental health, unfortunately. And I'm sure every human being on earth has phases and that have experienced this in some stage in one way or another. Now, I'm going to talk about now a couple of general tips that you can beat anxiety, החרדה, לדבר אנגלית. I've also let's talk about anxiety in general. This is a couple of techniques that we're going to go through. And I'm going to give you around 10 different, let's say 10 ways to manage your feelings, manage your anxious feelings, which I think are pretty useful. Number one is to practice relaxation techniques, meditation, deep breathing, and progressive muscle relaxation are effective ways to calm your mind and body. Practicing these techniques regularly can help you reduce anxiety symptoms. אני יכול להגיד לכם לגבי מדיטציה, it just requires constant, daily, התמדה. You need consistency. You need to do this on a daily basis, okay? A couple minutes. It's not hard, but it's not easy because you just have to do it. There's those few minutes where you have to sit calmly with yourself and do them every single day. But you'll be surprised how that little task, עד כמה זה באמת קשה. למצוא רגע לעצמך 5 דקות, לשבת בשקט, רק לנשום. נשמע לכם קל, אבל זה פשוט ממש לא קל, כי התמדה אפילו ב5 דקות, ומשהו שנראה פשוט, לשבת בשקט ולנשום עמוק, it's hard in a modern world. I don't know why, but it just is. Consistency is hard because you're going to feel ridiculous in the beginning. You're going to feel it's weird, זה לא עוזר לי, זה לא עובד לי כרגע, אבל כמו כל דבר בחיים, הכל עובד בטווח ארוך. You cannot expect שינויים באותו רגע, בכלום, לא בלמידה אנגלית, לא בחרדה שלכם, לא בחיים בכלליות, אין שינוי מרגע לרגע. אבל כן יש צעדים קטנים ומהירים בכל יום לעשות את הצעד, כל יום את הצעד. תעשה לעשות משהו למענך, למען זה. Tip number 2 is obviously to exercise regularly. Exercise releases endorphins, which are natural mood elevators and stress relievers. Exercise can help reduce anxiety symptoms and boost your mood. Number 3, this is an obvious one, is to get enough sleep. Lack of sleep can increase your anxiety symptoms. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night, and you'll feel rested and relaxed. אני יכול להגיד לכם הלוואי שהייתי מקבל את 7-9 שעות. I'm normally getting around between 5 to 6. So that sometimes, I'm a pretty bad example. I suffer from anxiety occasionally as well. So I definitely need to get more sleep. Next one is eat a healthy diet. Eating a balanced and healthy diet can help you feel better physically and emotionally. And mentally, let's say, avoid excessive caffeine, alcohol, and sugar, as it can worsen anxiety symptoms. Number 5, challenge your negative thoughts. Anxiety is often fueled by negative thoughts. Identify and challenge these thoughts and replace them with positive, realistic ones. אם בא לכם מחשבה פתאום בראש, וואי, אני לא מספיק טוב, כמו הקולגות שלי בעבודה שמדברים אנגלית יותר טוב ממני, או חברים שיש טוב באנגלית, אני מתבייש שאני נוסע איתם לחול, אני לא מצליח לדבר מספיק טוב. תשנו את החשיבה שלכם עם מחשבות חיוביות, הגיוניות. תגידו לעצמכם, אוקיי, זה בסדר שאני יודע פחות, אבל אני עדיין אדבר, אני אנסה, אני אתאמץ, ואני ארוויח מזה, ואני אסגור את הפער במהירות, ותשים לכם יעדים מציאותיים. Number 6, practice mindfulness, שדיברנו על mindfulness כבר קודם לעומק. Mindfulness, אני עוד פעם מפרק את זה בקטנה, is a technique that involves focusing on the present moment and accepting your thoughts and feelings without any judgment. This can help you to reduce anxiety and stress. Number 7, seek support. Talking to a trusted friend or family member, or seeking the help of a mental health professional can help manage anxiety symptoms and develop coping strategies. Number 8, set realistic goals. Setting realistic goals and breaking them down into manageable steps can help you feel more in control and reduce anxiety. כשאתם באים לכל מטרה בחיים, תפרקו אותה לצעדים שהם הגיוניים, שאתם יכולים לעמוד בהם. Okay? אנשים תמיד באים, אני יכול להגיד לכם מחוויות אצלנו from English learning in our school. Our course is a 10-week program. Okay? זה קורס של 10 שבועות. זה שיעור פעם בשבוע, one-on-one. It's a 1-hour lesson, private lesson. And in between each lesson, you also get homework. We have to, let's invest another 1 hour of your time. לשיעורי בית, the homework, generally it's digital homework, it's custom made, and also it has משימות אישיות, which you need to complete personal tasks, which are sent by your teacher. So basically in a week, you're investing 1 hour of English learning, professional one-on-one English learning, and you have another hour which you're investing in homework. One of the biggest questions that we always get is, האם זה מספיק? It does seem so little. I'm just doing so, it's not enough. People have this misconception that they need to invest in a particular skill 10 hours a week, or 5 hours, or 2 hours a day every single day, or 1 hour a day. That's unrealistic. Okay, when you set up a task for yourself, a goal, and you're not taking on manageable steps that will yield you progress, you need to remember that the most important thing is consistency. צעדים קטנים ומהירים והתמדה לטווח ארוך. If you can manage it לטווח ארוך, you will see an amazing, significant result. And this is why we break down the language into manageable steps. So that will reduce your anxiety, make you feel more in control, make you feel like you're making consistent and strong gains. Number 9, practice self-care. תדאג לעצמכם, taking care of yourself by engaging in activities you enjoy, setting aside time for relaxation, prioritizing your own needs can help reduce stress and anxiety. Number 10, I'm guilty of doing this. I do this occasionally, but I've been guilty of not being consistent with this. But I will try to, because this is important. The last one, keep a journal. Writing down your thoughts and feelings can help you identify triggers and patterns in your anxiety. It can also be a helpful way to express and process your emotions. Okay, so that sums up just a couple of ways to basically manage anxiety. This podcast was about anxiety to speak English, but obviously anxiety is anxiety and applies to everything in life. חרדה זה חרדה, וזה לכל דבר בחיים. יש לך חרדה לדבר אנגלית, כנראה שחוויתם או תחוו חרדה בנושא אחר גם כן. וזה בסדר, it's okay, but there's ways to manage it, there's ways to get over it. We do our best to get you over it. We have a lot of experience that deals with, let's say, solving people's fears about speaking English, even speaking English publicly, giving you the tools to make presentation, לדבר בציבור, לדבר לפני קהל, not be afraid of going out there and even, presenting yourself in the most professional best way possible לעשות את הרושם הכי טוב. אז תודה רבה שהזנתם לי היום, היה פרק ממש מיוחד, נושא שהוא נושא קשה, אני מאמין, להרבה אנשים. אני מקווה שנהניתם להזין לפרק הזה כפי שאני נהניתי להגיש אותו. אני אריאל, כמובן אני אהיה כאן שוב שבוע הבא. תודה רבה למפיקים שלנו כאן. Thank you so much guys. We have an amazing team here all around ממש, and I appreciate you guys a lot. So thank you for listening, and please write us in. I mean, WhatsApp, email, give us a call 053-550-1976. זמינים כמובן גם בוואטסאפ. שיהיה לכם שבוע מוצלח. Have a peaceful, relaxed week. Succeed, make manageable steps, and kill that anxiety. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.